There. We'll see whether AHQ can make it happen now up against RNG as we hop into Champion Select. We're going to say goodbye to Froskin and Raz. They'll be back at the end to try and explain what is going to happen in this LPL-LMS clash, which I am incredibly excited about because I want it to be something like the previous one that we saw.
I feel like that makes one of us. In saying that,
hey,
it was exciting.
Oh, come on, man.
No, it was exciting.
Yeah, good.
There's limits to what everyone wants.
Hey, that's true. And you're the analyst, whereas I just want action all the time that is very confusing. And we certainly got that, as we already have bans coming through thick and fast. That is going to be the Karma, the Caitlyn, and the Elise band art on the blue side, as Zach and Galio have already been taken away by AHQ, and the LeBlanc is going to follow against Xiaohu, which makes a heck of a lot of sense. Throughout his entire career, that has been his go-to lady.
Yeah, take that from Xiaohu. It does still leave open the Rek'Sai if they really want to prioritize that in the jungle role, and the Thresh, namely, of course, with the Elise band, and with Zach Galio gone. I would say Thresh is number 4 in terms of priority for champions, just about all 3 of these regions, actually.
Also a really difficult one to then pick brand into if Albus did want to go towards something like that. And we were talking about contested mid lane picks. Now the hover of the Talia is at least there for AHQ.
Very early rotation if they commit to that one. And I'm not surprised that they do, because we mentioned again, it's Xiaohu's best champion above and beyond, has looked fantastic on it. Xiaohui has it, so it's a shared champion between the two in that pool. But a first pick means that they don't necessarily need to hold on to the mid lane role for RNG, and they're on blue side. And so the counter pick may be going to top lane now for AHQ. Well,
it is going to be the Lee Sin locked away for Mountain. I thought that something from the jungle may not necessarily be locked in until the last round. They could have tried to get a priority AD carry just because Mountain has, you know, Gragas, like what MLXG has just locked in. And of course the Rek'Sai is still available to him as well, which is going to go completely unnoticed. Letme could of course be playing that Gragas on the top side of the map if he wants to.
Yep.
Xiaohu now has an opportunity to pick something up at the same time. We'll see what it's going to be. I would suggest something like an AD carry, keep their options open, but of course you never know with RNG.
You might want to round out your bottom lane, but again, they've seen the Talia. They can counter pick with whatever they'd like. Corki has the same idea as a Syndra lane with Talia, is that if they use the W, dash at them before they can actually get out the combo, just beat them down with it.
Yep, just smack them in the face. That is going to be the brawl I'm having a look at here by AHQ, so not opting to pick up an AD carry, and they're going to straight away ban out the Kalista. So we're not going to be able to grab that.
They're banning AD carries because they have the first rotation, you'd have to imagine, but RNG haven't responded with AD carry bans of their own. It's still a shared champion between both teams, and so AHQ need to be careful. If they ban another AD, RNG may just say, well, in for a penny, in for a pound.
Yep.
We're a Nocturne Leona team. We may as well just cheese and have a Jarvan bottom.
It's going to be really hard to pick Nocturne Leona here, but I would certainly be impressed by it. What necessarily happens, you've got Corki, AD carry, and Corki Leona was always a fantastic
The premise
lane.
of this, of course, is that they wouldn't ban an AD carry second if you're AHQ, and as you can see, it's going to be a rumble.
Yeah, okay. You're just trying to get me away from trying to work out this team composition, Rusty.
A little bit.
I understand that. It was pretty awful. As Renekton is going to be the final ban here from RNG, still focusing on Ziv towards the top side, and that is going to equal 3 top lane bans, as the Ashe is going to be considered by AHQ to round out that Freljordian bottom lane.
Played out as you would expect for AHQ. Going for the AD, meaning their top laner will be the counter pick Ziv, star player of the team. They'll be able to give him that one last, as RNG have locked in their AD carry. And still towards this top lane with the Rumble gone, Renekton gone, Fiora gone, you'd be looking towards a Jarvan, almost as a pick of necessity.
Well, Lemmy does have a decently large champion pool to go with, but does have to blind pick it theoretically, unless MLXG is going to get a jungler.
Unless they really want to give him Gragas, that's right. But this makes the most sense. It should just be the lock.
Yeah,
and AHQ should know that fact and be ready to pick something into it.
But it is still a flex pick, Rusty. They could switch it up. We've been seeing J4 in the jungle more often than not, and MLXG even plays it completely off meta. As here we go, it's going to be the Jax locked away here for Ziv. Something that we've been seeing more and more recently.
And I think this is the only time where I would look at RNG and say, yeah, it can be a flex if you'd like. But the Gragas top lane, with the changes not having the 3 Doran's rings, is not ideal, especially into a Jax matchup. You're just kind of giving the scaling over to Ziv. So they're going to stick with the J4, it looks like. And I'm not going to say that's the best matchup in and of its own right. Jax will start to scale up naturally against literally everybody under the sun. But there is still a lot of gank pressure up there with MLXG working with Letme. They've got the capabilities to take Ziv out early and try and just empower Letme to carry for the rest of the map. Xiaohu has got his own version of Talia. that is in the meta with Corki with the package, and then Chowie's got Taliyah. So there's going to be a lot of roaming from this middle lane to see where they can impact the rest of the map, which is honestly quite volatile.
Yeah, of course, both of these mid laners likely to get themselves out of the way. We've seen Chowie's new and improved Taliyah pick in that mid lane, and Chow, who has always wanted to get out of lane as soon as possible with whichever state of the LPL he is in and whichever team he has been on as well. So we'll see whether Letme is going to be getting the help, but MLXG, he's always the question mark, but he's back on what is old and new comfort in the Gragas, and the bouncy castle top lane could certainly be an opportunity. It's not necessarily a Renekton Elise, but that is still amazing gank pressure coming out from both of these champions.
But to be perfectly honest with you, Atlas, I look at both of these team compositions, and I still feel like I would lean to the side of AHQ with just the end result of what they've got for themselves. Ashe, Braum, utility bottom lane. Braum's a good pick into Xayah, of course, being able to deny the feathers, and then Ashe can give you an engage shot under the Thresh if Xayah ever decides to get the heck out. And then Braum's going to be able to block any kind of follow-up there in the first place. So the 2v2 sound from AHQ, they set themselves up nicely with their utility lane. You've got the Jax, always is going to outscale, able to split push, and just has a lot of map pressure as the time goes on. Lee Sin can bridge the early game, Taliyah can bridge the mid game, and Ashe is always going to be consistently relevant in certain ways. The scary part, and I mean we said this last game, is what can RNG do early?
Well, they can certainly face check this brush, and Ziv has to use his flash. The hook was certainly on point, so Ming is going to get that one out. So nice start for RNG, and that is certainly something that they can do.
It's definitely the best way to start. Mountain, I think he's AFK, and Letme just shows him.
Yeah, no, he's just going to wander himself out of the way.
I could have waited perhaps for the Thresh hook. Very high cooldown though. This early in the game, RNG, they get the Jax flash, which is super big. Xiaohu.
Yeah, that is a lot of volleys threaded towards him. He even gets the slow. He wants to hold on to his flash and does so. We'll go back to base now.
They want to actually cancel it. Chowie's going to overexert himself to try and do it, which is why MLXG is blocking.
Okay, protecting the back of his mid laner, sacrificing his own health bar. Gragas does go down relatively low, but he should be absolutely fine.
And J4 is going to spend some time with him as well and be able to leash. So maybe you tank the first 2 hits. Your passive will give you some health back anyway. You'll be okay if you're MLXG in this situation. At the same time, Ziv's able to grant a rather nice leash start for a Lee Sin by having the counter-strike there. And we're starting on the top side of the map. That's the biggest takeaway. Remember, Jax, no flash.
Yeah.
Always going to be impactful. To contrast that, though, Chowie's going to have himself a nice experience lead, you would imagine. Look at the CS difference already. Just pushing him.
Right now, MLXG is going to be able to take down his blue buff, but both of the junglers starting on the top side means that we may not necessarily see that top lane gank pressure coming out, unless Mountain wants to go for some cheeky level 2. Actually.
Yeah, so the only one that's going to be there is Mountain. He'll be doing red buff, maybe a level 3 clear. Could even be a full clear from him, as you're starting to see now, going towards the Krugs. To contrast this, MLXG's look towards Raptors is prioritizing his red buff first. We'll probably smite it, then go to the Raptors. But he also knows that Chowie's starting to move towards there, is about to ward for it. And it's risky because he'll be revealing himself just to clear the jungle. That's actually a very long journey from Chowie. I thought he was warding for the Raptors, his bottom.
Yeah, that's not warding for the
Raptors.
Engaging.
That's
Y4 getting exhausted, using the flashes. Albus flashes on top of him as well. They're looking for an early first blood, and they should be able to get it, as Chowie's the one that picks it up. Albus now potentially in trouble after getting hooked, but it doesn't matter. AHQ on the board at not even 3 minutes in.
But Chowie just thinks he's Aurelion Sol, apparently. That is a ridiculously early roam coming out of a Taliyah, using the wall, going through the jungle next to MLXG, and there is a ward at that red buff. That almost spotted him as well. That's how close it was. Of course, Chowie's going to skirt the walls, able to avoid that vision. Fantastic early gank.
The thing that's crazy as well is that RNG had a ward on that Raptor camp. They knew the Mountain had stayed up towards the top side, which is why they're playing a little bit more aggressively. Just weren't quite expecting the old Taliyah roam at level 3.
No one expects him to go bottom. They warded where he was going to ward, and then he was gone for an extra 5 seconds, and by the time you announce that fact, he's already going.
Just crazy stuff. And Mountain not going to get 3 buffed either, as you're right, he did clear that full top side, and he's just going for a full clear of his jungle entirely. Farming things out quite nicely. MLXG has gone back and bought himself the beginnings of his jungle item.
Of course, just go to the Scuttle Crab now if you're Lee Sin. You get a cheeky recall in there. Very easily done from him, honestly, where you contrast this to MLXG. By no means jungling poorly. He's just not going to clear as fast as that Lee Sin, who purposed himself to a full clear. It's almost like the Taliyah has become the jungler in this one.
Yeah, and Xiaohu's going to get aggressed on here by Xiaohu. He doesn't have a lot of mana remaining. these pebbles are going to explode, but he does avoid that damage, and Mountain now looking to try and pray. Exactly right. I did want to ask some questions about Xiaohu, as he's now in a little bit of trouble. He's taken the Warlord's Bloodlust. Has exhaust, and has a Doran's Blade. This guy is changing things up right now on this Corki.
I mean, Warlord's Bloodlust is the standard for LPL Corkis. I can't speak for every region, of course.
I do like the Thunderlords.
The Thunderlords is nice because you can proc it with your Gatling gun pretty much immediately, so it's good for lane trading. But you go towards the Warlord's Bloodlust build because your build has shifted. You're not going to go towards any Lifestealers. Mountain, say hello.
Devil. That's a lot of damage out of MLXG. Does have a flash to follow, but Mountain just waits for the safeguard and gets himself out.
Yeah, everything was used by MLXG. There was no chance of a follow-up, so it was a little bit cute from Mountain. Loses most of his health as a hook connects.
Yeah, that should be the snare up there as well with the Blade Caller, but that is going to be a stun onto Ming, and it's just going to be trades from RNG.
And that's the matchup with the Braum being able to block the feathers. So there's not going to be a follow-up stun from any kind of thresh hooks that connect unless he gets them out early as the hook connects. But ultimately, Mountain lives. The same time mid lane, just to come back to that Corki point for you as well, because the itemization choices is Trinity Force into 2 crit items. You have Warlord's Bloodlust, and you crit them, you get a majority of your health back.
Yeah,
it's like the Jhin and Caitlyn effect.
I like it a lot. Especially when you can crit with magic. Magic crits are the coolest. It used to be just a Nivea, and now you get 80% magic crits from a Corki. Beautiful stuff.
It's certainly a thing that is really hard to build resistances for.
Yeah, not a great one.
When both champions can crit you in both roles.
Unfortunate. Do you build a Randuin's Omen against a magic damage dealer?
You still build Randuin's because it reduces crits of all varieties.
I'll write that down for when I'm facing my next Anivia. Build Randuin's first item.
I believe the E is a crit, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah. As Mountain is now going to discover MLXG. How does your medicine taste, Mr. Gragas?
Tastes like he wants to go back to base.
Gatorade, I think. I say, unfortunately, brand dropping. Okay.
He's still going back to base either way. Mountain gets pressure, and we'll be looking towards still on the top side of the map. But RNG have wards there. AHQ are very proactive with their vision, very deep with it,
and
though.
Also never really hanging out
like, this is accidentally perfect.
Yeah. They're just going to wander into each other. There's the flash, blast cone. Ming says, all right, well, I'm terrified, but things are going to be okay.
Elvis actually was the one who punched the plant and got him out, so makes it a little bit more streamlined, perhaps, for the Thresh. But I think the big point to actually note there was they were in the perfect spot and they didn't even realize it. They were looking for the Thresh, but then he actually just wanders in behind them like, what on earth are you doing here?
It's like a weird game of musical chairs or something like that, where the chairs are really tall. Yeah. It's like, oh, came around the corner. There he is. Okay, Xiaohu's going to be able to grab a blue buff in a brief moment of normalcy. 600 gold is now the lead for AHQ, however, after that first blood, equating to approximately that amount, meaning that the rest of this map is looking relatively even.
These junglers are just having a grand time.
It's a punch-on.
They're looking for the second red buff. They've got Corki also, who has push pressure in the mid lane. They've also got the Jarvan pushing top. So actually Mountain probably might want to exit the area promptly.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people coming down. Mountain doesn't want to give this one up, but he has to. It's going to be all the burst coming out of MLXG, and they do lock that one down. So
that's the advantage of pushing lanes. Exactly right. They're able to secure themselves one buff back in their favor. The immediate movement from AHQ. Remember, all the wards were placed earlier, and it's like he is actually just a bottom laner on cue.
Xiaohu just did a kickflip as well. That was super cool. I didn't know you did kickflips on Talia.
When you mount the wall.
Today I learned.
The rock, rather.
Now, Xiaohu could be in trouble, but trades back very nicely as there's the Counter-Strike, and Ziv, whoa! That one does some damage. Exactly right. Now that he has that level 7, does have the ultimate available to him if he wants to go in for some extended trades against the old Jarvan, but barely even needs it, just needs to press W after an auto attack.
And of course, think of the effort that comes into what Mountain's doing here. Speaking of trades, is that nothing is honestly the answer there. They've got a Talia that's pressuring mid lane because the waves bounce back. You've got a bottom lane that's doing super well in the 2v2. They were the ones that set up the wards for Mountain. He was trying to cheat towards his own red buff first, and RNG have to bring 3 people there to try and push him off it just to secure the red buff, not even just actually secure a kill with that. And so far, pretty sound from the AHQ squad, diffusing any kind of early aggression that would ever be there from an LPL team.
They seem to just have the answer. Ziv evens out that top lane CS gap that was present. Lemmy is going to be able to get a bit of that back now, pushing that wave back forward. Has himself a couple of shirts and the strange axe that's allowed him to hit stuff that's all around.
Banking on the Thresh hook to connect here in this bottom lane. You'd never really count on Y4 doing anything forwards as Xayah with the Lantern nearby.
Another Counter-Strike. He just seems to be able to make these trades work every single time on the side of Ziv. Cancels one auto attack, but otherwise
Talia's
that's
also
pretty
looking,
flawless.
has the blue buff, so Letme has to respect that fact, and they're looking towards plays in the bottom lane RNG, which is why they need to respect that. MLXG was nowhere near that area, and they had no vision on Mountain, who has since revealed himself, of course.
Yeah, it was a cheeky little play from Xiaohu, but Threaded Volley's not going to find him here in the mid lane. He should be absolutely fine. MLXG wanting to get something done, but that ward is worth so much as Ziv gets himself to a safe position.
And they've pinged exactly where MLXG is. You look towards Mountain, honestly, in response to that and say, what is the Lee Sin going to do if they have at least assumed knowledge of where the Gragas is going to be? He's got free reign of the river. Mountain is still expecting a gank to be top lane. In fact, with the trades we've seen in the past, Lemmy might die soon.
Yeah.
He's still looking to counter, though.
Mountain is actually just decided not to come back in. The Leap Strike should be available relatively soon, but Ziv just goes for that trade, and
here,
Mountain just doesn't do much. Yeah, exactly. Interesting.
Almost too much respect.
But I guess AHQ, they don't necessarily have the onus on them to try and get this work done. Slowly but surely, they are getting incremental leads. Xiaohu looking to try and do his best to answer that towards the bottom side with the package. But remember, the Jax probably just wants to wait until 40 minutes and then 3-shot turrets. Like, he's not too worried about this.
And the communication isn't too complicated from AHQ either. It's Corki made a really loud noise.
Yep.
And on the map is running towards bottom. We might want to back away.
Yeah.
So they back away. Talia's going to shove mid. And only when Talia sees the Corki, which was right then, do AHQ step up. So playing simple League of Legends, is playing at arguably that little bit better than RNG are.
Yeah. And measured play isn't necessarily something that we've associated with RNG in the past, and seems to still not necessarily be there, as AHQ are looking pretty smooth on Summoner's Rift for now. As MLXG doesn't get the steal, but may actually get a kill.
Oh, that kick!
That kick was so cute. It's the package not enough to quite get him over, and that Ash Arrow not going to find a target that it's looking for. Double teleports coming in as Letme looks for the flag and drag, finds it. Cataclysm goes down, but brilliant exhaust stops the damage. Meanwhile, MLXG is going to be taken down by Chowie as it's just all going wrong for RNG. Letme dies as well. And my God, AHQ played that out so beautifully.
Mountain, with the smallest amount of health remaining, is able to get out alive, trading and beating Letme when it matters most. So well executed, honestly, from all of the AHQ roster. And it all started with a brilliant kick coming from the Lee Sin after securing the objective, which is already, with that tempo advantage they're picking up for themselves. This could not go any better for them, honestly, at the start of this game.
There are a lot of good news stories to come out for AHQ. Team that we've associated with success in the past. And pretty sad so far in the summer season, but looking to try and turn that one around, and this is a great way to do it.
And of course, MLXG's body slam is gone. He flashes. Not only does he kick him into the Corki, he dodges MLXG's ultimate. So really well done. Both of them smiting, of course, but Mountain hits the Q, chooses to back away, and then Braum comes in to save the day. The timing on that exhaust was picture perfect. Xiaohu, he's immediately gone. MLXG's already dead, and with no health remaining, Mountain gets to waddle away.
Yeah, exceptional exhaust and really good heal coming out from Arn as well. Mountain multiple times down to about half an auto attack away from dead.
Pretty nuts.
Yeah, and we've got some crazy evenness towards the top side of the map, but Arn has slowly but surely created pretty sizable advantage for himself. 26 CS in the lead is a big deal on the Ashe, and this is looking like a dead Ziv unless he can turn this one around. Mountain turns up, and nope, absolutely nothing they can do. So Grandmaster's Might was used.
You know what happens when a Jax and a Lee Sin dash to each other?
I don't know what.
They actually swap spots. I was hoping we were going to see that.
I was hoping they'd bonk.
Yeah.
Like bonk heads.
And they meet mid-air.
Yeah. Donk.
Well, one goes under, one goes over.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's true. That, I guess that would happen.
But still, you're right. You mentioned the bottom lane pressure. You can see how that's now been exerted by Talia, who is also looking.
Oh, there's the Weaver's Wall. Okay, MLXG just wanders casually. That's his maneuver, and works very effectively.
Very maneuverable man, MLXG.
I know. For a fat guy, this guy's got some agility.
Accidentally dodged a lot of stuff. So Lee Sin Q, Talia shove, all gone. That's the Talia ultimate gone. So Corki then gets pressure mid lane. But that's where Mountain comes to play. As MLXG's actually answering back almost.
Yeah. Damage with the fast bomb. They're fighting on multiple fronts. Good slow comes out as there's the cask, and Xiaohu's delivered a kill all too easily. Okay, RNG getting themselves at least on the board kills-wise.
That's what he gets for flash kicking before Atlas.
Ha ha ha.
Bit of karma.
She was banned, I think.
There's just a bit of it then.
All right.
It's one frame.
Oh, it is going to be Ziv continuing to push. And then actually just throws out the
I don't know if he wants that.
No, that's another Grandmaster's Might that comes in. Cooldown on that one is not super high. As Lemmy, I think that was just more of a message to be sent. It's like, I'm frustrated!
Forcing him to recall perhaps, but neither of them have teleport. Lemmy's looking again now.
Doesn't get the knock-up, doesn't want to get underneath this turret as the Empower comes in, but not a lot of mana left on Ziv. Otherwise, I believe he would have taken that fight.
There is a chance. Lemmy still able to push this one in. It seems like Ziv's going to be forced to recall. When you look towards the rest of the map, Corki's bottom. He's been spotted. Ziv chooses to stay because he's got the Lee Sin and the Taliyah rotating up, and now this is just becoming a giant bait.
Yep. Considering it has now let me just above half health, but Chowie's saying that he doesn't really worry about that too much. Flag and Drag comes in, so at least let me spidey senses were tingling.
Let me tell you,
casually goes down.
That ward, I've never seen something so dead.
That is so dead. Yeah, super dead, I believe, is the coined phrase for that ward.
Okay.
If only the Glacial Fissure did damage to the wards.
The unfortunate part is that it was on a ward, so it's still going to be spotted. As
oh,
there we go.
Oh, the casual Winter's Bite as the arrow sent out in celebration. Just saying, we like throwing out ultimates, but we only need Qs to take blue buffs.
You can take this arrow and stick it somewhere safe.
And my axe. That didn't work. Sorry. Trying to throw out the reference, but we just didn't get an opportunity. Ziv's going to continue pushing, try and save us from this topic of conversation. As Lemmy does catch up. Hasn't actually bought in a little while.
I feel like
Tiamat's still there.
Watching both of these teams, one of them just has more reinforcements at all times. Both mid laners obviously can roam. One's package reliant for more successful roams. But even then,
Chowie, who's never in his lane.
Yeah, Chowie's
above now.
He thinks he's Westdoor. It's working.
Not my fault. Trading nicely against Arn, but that is exactly what Zayas can do. Doesn't have his Thresh around. Ming going on walkabout towards the mid lane.
And I'm sure Frostgurin's very excited to note that we have had the most LMS game possible because they're still laning.
LMS-y as. Although it's not very messy, so this is not that. I was going to utilize that one when things are actually going messily, but this is actually quite controlled out of AHQ.
You're falling on your own sword now.
I know. Speaking of which, Static Shiv is going to be done by Arn. We've only got a BF sword there for Y4. We'll see whether he heads towards the Essence Reaver, and he's going to complete it right there, as I said.
Mountain looking towards Let Me, just pushing him off again. The turret is the name of the game. It's the first turret, and already with the 2,000 gold leaders. Whoa.
Okay, Explosive Cast comes in. MLXG just going for the 1v1.
Oh, there's the Corki.
Aha, package delivered. Chowie in trouble. The exhaust comes in. Doesn't find the fast bomb, but just needs an auto. He has those, and that is going to be the kill. So it was all a bait from the big Gragas in the mid lane.
Well, certainly the right idea, seeing the Lee Sin top. They just make the play. Xiao, who had the package, is able to use that package and just remove Chowie from the map. Has the big item spikes of his own, of course. The Trinity Force with the Sorcerer's Shoe, so he's set to go, ready for action as Arn.
That's a point blank arrow. He's going to be able to hit that one as the hook is going to be narrowly avoided by sidestepping.
RNG need to get out.
MLXG's in a heck of a lot of trouble as they give up on the dragon, but there's the Glacial Fissure finding the mark, and Albus is going to help grab that one. Ming's in trouble. Oh, almost able to survive with the shield, but that is going to be the Ash falling down as Y4 Featherstorm's there. He flashes his way out as Albus. He may just die. The cleanup's coming in. Double kill from Ziv as he says, yeah, I'll take this fight. Xiaohu's in trouble. Does have a rocket that he can throw out. Triple kill comes in, and there's my boy on the Corki in the mid lane.
Mountain's obviously on the other side of the map. You're seeing him take the Rift Herald, but a massive triple kill from Xiaohu. Now 5-0 on the Corki. And he is going to be one of the biggest threats that AHQ have to deal with from here on out.
He is the biggest threat. No one else has any kills, Rusty.
Y4 was playing it well to survive for as long as he did. Of course, it's not going to amount to anything for him, unfortunately, because you're right. Not even an assist for Xiaohu, and also about to give over a shutdown.
It's the shutdown gold problem that we were discussing before. Theoretically, if you can actually land some of these threaded volleys.
Xiaohu!
Oh God, Xiaohu almost does it! As Chowie should have had a much easier time claiming that kill. Okay, just trying to keep us on our toes, and so far these games have certainly been that.
That should not have been that close. Chowie kind of just a couple of degrees off there.
Bit left of center.
We get to see this. Arn plays this well. Ming, not expecting the juke, I suppose. But now at this stage, the smite was used well to keep him alive. Albus has his ultimate back from something that was tragically used earlier. And Ziv's teleport time. You have to note how quickly he gets here compared to Let Me. Let Me comes in and then locks Y4 with Ziv, trying to disengage. But at the same time, the flash is used. So for how long RNG survived here, it gives enough time for Xiaohu to be working on the back end and still have enough damage, again, with those big item spikes we mentioned, to secure the kill as well onto Ziv with the triple.
Yeah. And now Ziv has the Trinity Force. I believe didn't for that last fight. So Xiaohu hitting that spike a little bit earlier, now building towards his Infinity Edge, which is now so important. Talking about those magic damage crits, now with some extra crit damage, that is a big problem.
It hasn't gone static shiv, hasn't gone rapid fire cannon, it's gone straight towards the attack damage spiking. So the crits will be nice, the crits will hit harder, but they're going to be a little bit less reliable. And he's banking on those Sheen procs as well. The weaving of the ultimates in there.
Like it.
This is a problem though.
Yeah, Ziv, little does he know, he is most likely dead. And by most likely, I mean very dead. This welcome to the Thunderdome, as Knockup not going to come in, as Letme's going to have to use the Cataclysm, but I think he's out of dashes, as somehow he was inside the wall. That was odd. MLSG's going to grab the kill.
He lived for an exceptionally long time. I think long enough to give AHQ the obvious trade. It is one kill onto the teleportless member of AHQ, so even at respawn, RNG can try and make the play. And I feel like, you're looking at it, they are trying to make that play. It looks like the mid lane outer turret is the name of the game here, but Mountain, he's thinking one step ahead.
He's just going to utilize the Rift Herald towards the bottom side of the map. That is going to mean that that Rift Herald will get themselves a trade, because the mid lane outer, like you said, is going to fall down. And it is going to be Let Me getting some damage towards the top side as well. So RNG looking good. But let's have a look at this fight one more time. As Chowie going to journey down towards the bottom side. Is why do we have to watch this,
just catches him recalling. And this is the problem. Not this part, right now.
Yeah.
He expected the Duke down, missed the W, and then suddenly, that was
Suddenly it was way too close.
It was very close.
Golly. Okay. Black Cleaver done for Let Me, as they weren't able to get the top outer turret in that time we were spending in the relay chamber. I don't think that's what we can call it.
Give him the
Give him the 1-2. That's just the one. You don't want that.
And we're seeing the innovation from MLXG. He's gone for the Knight's Vow build. When you've got this many carries on your team that you can empower, it makes sense. I just like to see it, of course, adapting to the new patches.
Yeah, I also like it with the Zaya as well, who does need some extra survivability due to that shorter range.
I think
want to be utilizing her as effectively.
From the Knight's Vow point as well, you'd be looking towards Thresh and, say, the Locket natural progression of items. And they have two support items at the same time. Well, not at the same time, but when they spike with what was usually one for Ming. It means they're team fighting. This accelerates that a little bit extra.
See whether RNG can utilize it. At the moment, still down in gold, but there is a hope. And teams have struggled with the old 1-3-1 or the 1-4 compositions, as AHQ are going to have to make that one work with this Jax. But so far, the early game has been kind to them. And we know that if you get to that position where time is something that you can buy a lot of, Ziv will be feeling very, very good.
And surprisingly important picture-in-picture that you're getting right now with Ziv being an absolute pest on the bottom side of the map. Let Me, he's just wave clearing, has gone for the Tiamat as soon as possible, and is just using the Q, expending mana to clear the waves. But that means he has no mana, has no utility when he teleports in throughout all of this, and will never be able to trade with Ziv. He just lets it happen now. Ziv, already outscaled in terms of dueling, but is also now going towards the Titanic Hydra, and will actually be able to team fight as well as 1v1 at that stage.
And smash minion waves like nobody's business. Of course, the Tiamat helping him out already. Building that after the Trinity Force, of course, because that Trinity Force spike is so important. But that is the Infinity Edge done for Xiaohu. So the beautiful thing about Corki has been discussed already today, but you get 1 item power spike, you get 2 item power spike, you get 3 item power spike with when you get your Zeal item.
You just spike a lot.
It's a pretty spiky situation if you're a Corki. And Arrow just gonna be narrowly avoided there. I feel like that may have hit Earth's tail.
Also took out Let Me's behind at the same time.
Felt like that arrow was in a different dimension. That should have hit people, but nope. He was unfortunately in. It was an upside down arrow, I think.
Whoa, Mountain, what are you doing?
He's getting body slammed, but not gonna get flashed out of the way of there by Mountain. All the skill shots just going wide, and it's a bit of a party. People wanting to demonstrate that they have buttons, but not wanting to really hurt anyone.
Well, in part, catching out Mountain because he was just clearing wards inside the pit, but then Mountain walks towards people looking for him. He could have just eased up just that little bit extra, but gets his red buff. Everything just calms down. Mountain's going to be missing his flash. That's the only advantage that you'll be looking at here for RNG. That's a lot of damage.
Cool, Ming was really capitalizing on that one, flashing forward for the
We
hook.
just have Jack's camera.
Yeah, Jack's cam.
This is wonderful.
We could probably just keep Jack's cam up. Just follow him around.
He's recalling. You don't want to watch that.
Oh.
You can't actually see him purchase the items. It's not worth it.
Just watching him, watch Jax hang around in the store. Why don't you want to see that? Does he is he indecisive and it's just frustrating? Come on, man.
I'd watch it if I could watch.
I was talking about like a cool Jax shopping trip, like a sitcom scenario. Come on, you got to get with me.
I would rather watch this though. Atlas. I would much rather. I can't speak now.
Oh, it's because I was saying something incredibly stupid. Xiaohu's going to clear out this top wave. Still a control ward hanging out there towards the top side, and Ziv back in his natural habitat, which is alone in a side lane. Feeling pretty good about it. Wi-Fi's going to be able to clear out this wave quite quickly, as RNG certainly not worried about wave clear or anything like that. So he'll be able to keep at least 2 waves pushing.
Neither team are worried about wave clear, so to speak. I mean, he's gone for his static Shiv build. He's just going to be sitting back and trying to apply as much damage onto the people that run towards him. I'm okay with the static Shiv build if Jax is the primary target going on to him. Maybe he accidentally hits other targets while he spends most of his time running away from Ziv, to be honest.
Yeah, that's okay.
Y4, he is going to have a really rough game. But so far, 0-2-3, whilst it's not the best performance, he's still scaling up. Let me, on the other hand, has a long way to go. Yeah,
there's a wall that comes in as well. Xiaohu jumps out to the right side, and there's the flash out of the Cataclysm. Xiaohu says, now this is uncomfortable, but...
Release me.
Eventually it goes, but RNG utilizing this pressure so nicely. Yeah, he's totally fine as Ming clearing out Vision just casually, and that was just a straight-up positional outplay here by RNG.
And Xiaohu's now going to be the one dealing with the Ziv split push threat that comes into the bottom lane, and he doesn't actually commit to going for any turrets, knowing that Corki can maybe 1v1 him. That's super scary to go up against a 5-1 Corki with 2.5 items. Respecting just a little bit, in fact, recalling.
Whoa, that's a lot of ping.
As Xiaohu. Oh, he cancels it.
He's going to be able to stop it. That was so incredibly close. Counter-Strike comes in. Grandmaster's Might's there, but good timing on the exhaust. Flay's going to be avoided with the flash, but the hook doesn't find the mark. The flash from Xiaohu, that's the second auto attack, and he's going to be able to take him down. He didn't want to use that summoner spell, but he'll pick up his 6th kill if he can.
And honestly, about 6 crits coming out of Xiaohu, or 4 crits from maybe 6 hits. The odds were very much in his favor there. They go towards the Mountain Drake that is conveniently spawned. They don't actually settle for a Baron or anything crazy. They know that AHQ have got the vision controlled around that area, but they get the mid lane in a turret, they get the pick down in the bottom lane. There's a chance now with the minions stacking up bot that they can continue to go down. They use that, get the outer turret as well, secure the outer ring, and set up the map just that little bit more successfully. Ziv, he can sit bottom because that tower is still a decent safe zone for him in terms of where RNG's vision will go.
Yeah. Xiaohu's just having such a game today as well. I mean, we know this guy has performed in the past incredibly well in international tournaments. Thinking back to MSI a year ago, when RNG were in that group stage looking
playing Ring Around the Rosie.
Just ridiculous. Yeah, that puppy he's going for a walk. It was adorable. Yeah, Xiaohu just having another stellar performance. Now with his 3 items, Rapid Fire Cannon done, so that issue with not being able to get an auto attack and having to use a flash is now going to be negated.
And honestly, one of the few times where I would say recalling as a team is not the best idea, in saying that Corki is able to compensate with his package and get out super quickly, so be able to provide the vision. AHQ, they've well and truly committed to what is a 1-4. Yep. As long as their 4 doesn't die, then they are happy because they know their 1 will win sooner or later. Let's just play the game as slow as you'd like. Wait for RNG to make the mistake or make the play and then you counter it. Package is a very good time to catch somebody.
All right,
unawares. He has no summoners.
Speaking of unawares, scouts people out with the rockets. I like it. Now they're just happily wandering into AHQ's jungle. Thankfully they weren't lying in wait for anything. Wards are going to come in. AHQ looking to regain control, but they're going to be traded. That's a lot of control wards being taken down now by RNG, getting this control around the Baron area.
We've got the 3 big items spiked though for Xiaohu, so no one can step up. No one can contest him. The closest to be able to fight him, of course, there's 3 items on Xiaohu and Arn. Their damage is huge, but you'd have to wonder, can they actually keep up with the amount of damage that the Corki will output? Xiaohu's ultimate isn't a damage-dealing ultimate. Arn's level 14. Xiaohu's spike to 16 isn't far off having his exhaust up again. This is a dangerous situation right now, but when those sums are up...
Well, Hook is going to land on Albus. Unbreakable's there. Wow, that static shift proc did a lot of damage as Xiaohu is going to get the seismic shove. MLXG not going to be too worried. He's
a lot of
pretty
effort
tanky.
for red buffs.
Yeah. Oh my god.
RNG have shown themselves as really keen to fight for these red buffs. Of course, it's the LPL special.
I think just fight in general. It's like, aha, they want this. We can fight.
I feel like, you know, of all the LPL teams we've sent, EDG and OMG are the more fight-heavy ones. RNG, they try to. They just aren't always going to execute on it appropriately. And sometimes they'll just default to, we need Xiaohu to do literally everything kind of compositions.
I'm not going to argue with you there. That's exactly what's happening in this game.
Makes you kind of want Uzi back. In the same vein, Y4 hasn't looked bad.
I have a feeling they may just do that, as Banshee's Veil is not going to be popped, but that's a lot of auto-attack damage coming out of Y4.
Lots of mid pressure. I don't think they'll continue to push down mid. It's always a possibility. The mid lane, the bottom lane outer is the easy take for them. Past that, it's still the pressure around the Baron, the highest priority for them. Because we really are getting that picture-in-picture for top laners.
Oh, yeah.
This is Pulse's dream.
This is what we want. And Warden's Mail's done for Let Me as well, whereas it's a Spectre's Cow picked up by Ziv. So not necessarily playing into the Jarvan matchup, but Xiaohu was the one matching him earlier.
The Warden's Mail is good, but he still needs to go towards the standard Gargoyle Stoneplate now. And he hasn't actually spiked towards his third item as a result of going towards Warden's Mail, not committing. Ziv isn't going to go towards that either, though.
Oh god. The second 3-item power spike that we need to talk about is Y4 picking up that Infinity Edge. All of a sudden, this Xayah needs to be killed immediately, otherwise she may just kill everyone.
Still definitely hyperscaling. I guess we alluded towards this. Ashes, oh, hang on, Mountain.
Yeah, Mountain, you are in trouble. That's one more auto attack and he's dead. Explosive Cask was optimistic.
It was
to say
flashed.
The least. And it is going to be flashed exactly right by Mountain.
And Mountain barely lives. Jungler super low usually indicates that RNG will just go straight onto the Baron. But they haven't committed. They're wanting the hook, which goes wide.
Yeah, I'm not going to find it. Okay, so of course that was blind. Control Ward there sorting it out as RNG now looking to clear out this vision, but Mountain was given enough time to find his way back to base. Grab himself a couple more items there as well, looking for that dead man's plate.
The point I was going to make, though, is that they've gone for the triple crit build even on Ashe, which isn't always going to be the build that you see for Ashe. Blade of the Ruined King is usually the items of choice. There's even the Essence Reaver if I'm losing lane and just want cooldown reduction build. But he's hard committed to the Static Shiv and Rapid Fire Cannon Ashe. And those long-range crits, surprisingly, will be doing quite a substantial amount of damage.
Yeah, Ashe, of course, using crit a little bit differently to other champions as well. I like it. Different from seeing... Oh, God. That wasn't even a big one.
No, that was a big one.
Was it? All right, good. Jesus. That was a lot of damage from Xiaohu.
It's one of the biggest ones.
So big. There we go.
You can see it on the bar now. We changed core.
Yeah, I know. I thought
no, it's just a fun fact. It's not at you in any way.
Well,
they've got a Baron.
Yeah, no, it's dead. Okay.
It's actually uncontested.
There wasn't really much of an opportunity. And that's one Mountain Drake. They've just got too much damage, Rusty. I think that might be the problem.
Not just that, they were two-manning it. Xiaohu comes in late to help secure it from about 4k health, but Y4 and MLXG just two-man the Baron. Well and truly easy secure.
Yeah, nicely done. Abyssal Mask picked up by MLXG as well. Haven't actually seen that one for a while.
It's the way to go if you're going to go for a magic resistance item, in my opinion, besides Spirit Visage.
Yeah. Also wants to be able to boost up Xiaohu's ability to get stuff done.
That is big, of course. Extra magic damage around the user, and they don't have the most magic damage besides Xiaohu. MLXG indirectly will buff himself.
Yep. At
the exact same time. Will directly buff himself, indirectly buff Xiaohu. That makes sense.
Certainly does. Does now after clarification. Like it a lot. And Xiaohu's going to continue pushing things up. How are RNG going to utilize this Baron buff is the question.
They can't 1-4. They can 1-3-1, or they can 5v5.
Or they can take a dragon, which is, I think, what they're going to do first.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was trying to answer your question of how do they use the Baron buff.
Yeah, but they're not really necessarily doing any of those things, and I wanted to draw attention to that, because I feel like getting extra pressure in these lanes is a good idea, and they're giving Ziv free reign to get things shoved out.
It's nice to get the Ocean Drake if you've got control of Summoner's Rift, with the Elder being the next Drake of choice. So it's good to get that out of the way early, so that the Elder does spawn sooner. In saying that, they have also committed to the bottom lane. They've said we're doing a 1-4, but we're only doing this on the premise that Ziv doesn't get involved with a flank, and our Jarvan is more impactful. So as long as Jarvan's not losing lane, as we do have Ziv Camp, he's walking through mid. He's just taking mid.
He's not going to get to this turret as, my God,
what on earth?
The amount of damage is ludicrous. Xiaohu just says, all right, really wanted to catch that arrow. As in goes MLXG, he's got the fight. Xiaohu just explodes. then Xiaohu's going to be able to pick up that kill. A hook's going to land immediately afterwards. There's not enough exhaust to help this one as Mountain goes for the flashy play, but just can't make it happen. Of course, that's enough damage to kill him with one auto attack. God, this Corki does so much work.
And Jax has arrived. Your base is dead. RNG are looking to end the game. Ziv's going to have to try and stop them.
Yeah, a little bit of an oopsie there as he's going to have the biggest hero play, but look at the damage to these Nexus turrets.
Ziv, do something!
He used his ultimate button. He's pressed that, but the Nexus is now going to get taken down. The knockup comes in. Arn gets exploded. There is too much damage on this squad as Ziv eventually decides to press some buttons at his opponents, but it doesn't matter. It is all over, and RNG take down AHQ.